Oh, first of all, I would like to say that I've done nothing wrong in believing in democracy for all, even me, a person that spent a lot of time in prison. I still believe, and I will always believe, in democracy. Therefore, I hadn't done anything wrong. On November the 15th, 2025, Saturday, 59,748 citizens participated in our democracy by exercising one of the fundamental rights that we all have as United States and Louisiana citizens. On November the 15th, 25, as informed citizens, they cast their vote for who they wanted to be elected for the clerk of the Criminal District Court of Orleans. 38,681, that's 68.2% of voted for me, Calvin Duncan. Why did I run? Why did I run for this office? While in prison for a crime I didn't commit, I used to write the clerk of court in New Orleans to try to get records, to try to find out what my lawyers was doing on my case. The state was seeking the death penalty. And guys was telling me that I was going to get the death penalty because they too had the death penalty. They was tried by the same judge, same prosecutor, same everything. And they told me that in order for the board being executed, I had to become a lawyer. I had to learn the law. And I did just that. I studied, I read law, and I tried to help other people. The problem that we was having was that we could not get our records. We could not demonstrate to the courts that we was unlawfully convicted. And some of my friends, some of the people that I was trying to help in prison, we just couldn't get the evidence in the case, in our cases. Then fast forward, I got out of prison through the hard work of the Innocent Project. God blessed me to get out of prison, 2011. And I went to the Criminal District Court on Tulane and Broad. And I couldn't get people records. So I vowed back then, and I understood why I couldn't get those records, because the people that was running that office did not understand how withholding our records from them was affecting our cases. So what I did, like every other citizen, I'm going to go get myself together. I'm going to go get my education, and I did just that. I went to Tulane. I got my paralegal certificate, associate degree, and a bachelor's degree in paralegal studies. And then I went off to law school. And in 2023, I received my JD from Lewis and Clerk, and I came back home to continue to help people in prison get access to their records that they so severely need in order to demonstrate that they was unlawfully convicted in some cases. But back then I vowed that whenever this position became open, I was going to run. And when it became open, that Darren Lombard, when his time was up for the qualifying for that election, for that office, I qualified, and I started running. And I started educating people about the clerk of court, and I was elected. My request, with all due respect, was that the people that voted for me, they too believed in democracy. They believed that their votes was going to count. When I was going around in New Orleans, a lot of people was telling me, "Man, Calvin, your vote don't count. I respect what you're doing, but your vote don't count. That don't apply to you. It just don't apply to us." And I was telling them that they was wrong. I told them my story. I picked myself up. Even in prison, I educated myself. I came home and I saw an injustice, and I was trying to do something about it. And some of them went and registered to vote. And now this bill tells them exactly what they had believed before I even talked to them, that their vote don't count. With all due respect, I'm asking you all to don't let that be a reality. Don't let, it's hard getting people to participate in this democracy. And that's my request for you all. I done what I was supposed to do. And that is a message to every person. To me, in prison, I read books, and they said, this is the American dream. This is an American thing. You pull yourself up, no matter what the circumstances. You educate yourself. You be kind to people. You see an injustice, you do something about it. That's the American stuff that I believed in prison. And that's why I started off saying I have done nothing wrong in believing that in democracy, the people that took a chance on me, they say, look, I'm going to exercise my vote because I believe that you're going to do the right thing. You're going to make sure that what happened to you never happened to nobody else. I'm asking this committee, with all due respect, don't send an adverse message to those people that went out to cast the vote. Simple as that. And I appreciate you all for giving me this opportunity. But I'm more concerned about the people that went out to vote. And with all due respect, don't send a negative message to them that their votes did not count. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Duncan. Nikki Wilkes, please state your name and who you represent.
My name is Ezekiel Wiltz, and I'm here representing the people as well as the students who I teach and serve. For 26 years, I served as an Orleans Parish certified school teacher, and I could say, as a social studies teacher, we had a lot of activities and projects. I followed the curriculum, and I could recall maybe over a decade ago, we did this whole activity, and it was about voting, right? And the children, we acted all out, and in that teaching, it was told to us that your vote does count and why you should show up to the polls, and we did the whole process. And in that process, the winner, who the students select, they ran for office, and they was able to actually participate, right? They served in a seat that they won. Now it seems as though I lied to those children. That this process, it doesn't matter. I also just recently spoke to some students in another class setting, and they shared with me, I don't see why Kelvin position would be taken if he ran for office, if he won, and if they had to take a seat, why would it be Kelvin's? Because if you're talking about combined in two offices, Kelvin is used to handling a whole lot of paperwork and a whole lot of cases, so even in their eyesight, he will be the candidate of choice, right? We should be fighting in a different way. Here, because I don't always have all the answers, not even as a school teacher, so I tried to Google and chat GPT because that's the way of the world right now. And it said it is a short answer, and I just did this sitting there, that they usually can't just take someone's seat after an election, and when they do, it's because of corruption, maybe a resident requirement issue. It's because of ethnic violations. It's because that person wants to move or may just not want to run for office. They step down. Lawmakers change rules about leadership positions and maybe even for extreme cases, right? It also say if one had shown any sort of corruption, misconduct, or abuse of power. None of this happens to be Kelvin's case. I'm not sure why this is happening, but we all do understand what's happening now in the world today. Kelvin won fair and square. Kelvin won. We organized, we were active, we engaged, and we showed up to the polls. We elected the candidate of our choice. You're not just disappointing the citizens and the people of New Orleans. I've been connecting with folks all over the world, and they too are really, really disappointed by what is taking place right now. And I'm hoping that we have a different outcome on today. One that won't just affect us in such a way whereby it'll make history again, because this what's happening now is just unheard of.
Well, thank you for your testimony. We do have some questions, but in order to give everyone a chance to speak today, when I bring three to the table, I'm going to have all three talk, and then questions could be asked of the three. So if y'all will keep your seats, if you
I
can go
can.
ahead. Please state your name and who you represent.
Good afternoon. My name is Emily Faye Ratner. I represent myself as a voter, a volunteer for Calvin's campaign and transition team, and as a donor. And for each one of you who relies on donations, just think about the message you're sending to your own donors right now and the value of their donation. If you can run a successful campaign and win, and then that money went for no purpose at all. I'm an attorney in New Orleans. I practice in the courts y'all are impacting with these bills. I also volunteered hundreds of hours for Calvin's campaign and transition team. There's a few things you need to know about Calvin. He spent his entire life making history. He faced down the threat of the death penalty as a teen, was convicted of a crime he did not commit, was sentenced to die at what was then the most dangerous prison in America. He had every reason to turn into the monster the prosecution painted him as. Instead, he became an inspiration. He proved his own innocence, expanded the meaning of the Constitution at the U.S. Supreme Court multiple times. He gave thousands of people access to the courts and their records, and where the law required it, those people got their freedom. He may have more faith in our system of laws than anybody in this building. You should know that parents in Orleans Parish hold Calvin up as a role model for our children, for what it means to overcome the impossible with grace and with faith in what the laws of our democracy can do. When the people of New Orleans elected Calvin as our criminal district court clerk, we elected him because he educated us about the clerk's job. Nobody had ever done that before. He educated us about why he was qualified to do the work, and so we elected him in a landslide, as you've heard, 68 to 32%, widest margin of our entire election cycle. For the first time in living memory, somebody defeated an incumbent clerk in Orleans Parish. Maybe the first time in state history, we don't know. There is no public official in Orleans Parish with a greater mandate than Calvin Duncan. We, the people of Orleans Parish, know exactly why we elected Calvin. We also know exactly why the legislature is dead set on overturning our free and fair election. During the campaign, and I think it's important this gets said in this room, the Attorney General, Liz Murrill, sent Calvin a letter saying that if he did not stop accurately referring to himself as exonerated, he would face further action. Calvin didn't stop exercising his First Amendment right to tell the truth, and now this retaliatory bill is sailing through the legislature. SB256 is a mirror, members. The bill tells you exactly who you are. If you believe in free and fair elections, you know this bill is wrong. If you believe in the right to free speech, you know the bill is wrong. If you believe in the rule of law, you know the bill is wrong. If you believe in honoring the will of the people, you know this bill is wrong. I believe in you. I believe in your moral compasses. I know you can't name another elected official that this has happened to. You know this bill is bad for democracy. You know it's bad for New Orleans. It's bad for our state. As Dr. King tells us, the time is always right to do what is right. You have the power to do it right now. The nation is watching you. Thank you.
We do have some questions, and like I say, I appreciate y'all all three staying up at the date. So, Representative Noel, you're first.
Yes, I am. I sincerely and honestly believe I'm being targeted. In 2021, I was totally exonerated, and when I filed, then I graduated from law school, came back home. I filed for the compensation, and Attorney General Liz Murrill sent a message to me through Leon Canizera that if I continue to seek compensation, she was going to have me locked up.
She put that in writing?
And she said, I'm going to have you locked up. I'm going to charge you with perjury. However, if you dismiss your suit, if you don't, I'm going to have you charged, and I'm going to report you to the Bar Association so you don't get your bar license. But because I wanted to get my bar license, I decided to dismiss the suit with the hope that she would go away. And she resurfaced.
Yes.
That's the only reason why I dismissed my suit, because I had an assurance that she wasn't going to try to prevent me from getting licensed, something that I always wanted in my life. And so I said, well, I'm not going to pursue it. And now I try to pursue something greater to help other people never be in a situation that I am, and she suffers again.
Well, I think it's atrocious this is happening to you. And I've talked to, I think, almost all my colleagues on the committee that the precedents or the example this is setting, the government overreach with you, cannot be exaggerated, what this might mean for the rest of the country. So same question for you as a longtime lawyer and jailhouse lawyer and then someone who got a law degree. While we don't know what the legal outcome will happen because this is a novel question, is it right?
No, it's just totally wrong. It's just to put envision you being Calvin.
It wouldn't have happened to anyone in here.
No, indeed, it wouldn't have happened. 2 clerks in New Orleans been forever. And why eliminate the criminal district clerk? The court that affects people's liberty at a degree that's unbelievable. You lose your life there and you lose your liberty. But you eliminate that court. Why not the civil district court? Why not eliminate both of us? Why didn't they just say, look, I don't like either one of you all. I'm going to eliminate it. But what really gets to my spirit is, why eliminate Calvin?
All right, Representative A, please state your name and who you represent.
Okay. Are we allowed to have images while we testify?
It would have had to come to us ahead of time.
Okay. Well, this is what I was going to show, but that's okay. My name is Robin Guillen. I am a mother, an activist, and a doctoral candidate studying the impacts of incarceration here in Louisiana. I have words that I want to share with you today, but I also wanted to share an image here. Since what we're discussing, perspectives, as Senator Hebert mentioned, this is my perspective of what's happening here today. I'll be honest with you, I've written many drafts of what to say, and I'm still at a loss for words about how this is even up for debate. This bill is not an abstract policy change. It's part of a wider action by Senator Morris and like-minded senators that voted in support of his bills. It is, in Morris's own words, quote, what the governor wants. Let's be clear about what SB256 seeks to do and what it does not seek to do. It seeks to knowingly impede the court and clerk systems, to delay justice and efficiency to New Orleanians. It seeks to dismantle a system only to then ask later, why can't New Orleans just get their act together? But it's also deeply personal to my friend Calvin, because what it seeks to do is to ensure that a black man, a formerly incarcerated man, who will do the will of the people, does not come to power. So let's call this bill what it is, strange fruit, not low-hanging fruit. There's a long and painful history in this country of black lives being treated as expendable, of being reduced in the most chilling sense to what Billie Holiday once sang about as strange fruit hanging from southern trees. That imagery, and ones like the one I have here, are not just history, they are a warning about what happens when systems strip people of their humanity, their dignity, and their right to fully participate in society. A warning of what it means to see a man who has faced more adversity and yet accomplished more than I would say likely anyone else in this room, to have what he has worked his whole life for simply snatched away. And so it's deeply troubling that this bill, proposed by Senator Morris, appears to target a man like Calvin Duncan at the very moment he is poised to serve. Because when we talk about, quote, low-hanging fruit, we should be honest about what that means, choosing the easiest target rather than doing what is right. Mr. Duncan should not be made into political low-hanging fruit, not after serving 27 years of wrongful incarceration, not after dedicating his life to helping others navigate the very system that failed him, not now and not ever. I urge you to come join the right side of history, if for nothing else than your legacy. In doing so, you can affirm that Louisiana is capable of learning from its past rather than repeating it.
I'll go first. Hello, my name is Lydia Hopewell, and I'm a resident of Orleans Parish. I'm representing myself as a voter of Orleans Parish, as a friend of Calvin Duncan, but also as a deeply disturbed constituent testifying in opposition of this bill. First, I want to thank you all for taking the time to listen to everybody's testimony, and Mr. Chairman, you for allowing the additional time for the people to be able to speak on this issue. I think that's really important, and I thank you for doing that. I'm a previous poll commissioner, a committed voter since my first presidential campaign I could vote in, and civic engagement is my jam, y'all. I volunteered for Calvin's campaign. I volunteered for Rep. Landry's campaign as well, and our right to vote and right to choose officials who will represent us and our needs and interests best is the foundation of this country. And if we don't have that, what even are we? It was implied earlier that this role is not a clerical one and therefore not really representative of constituents like you all here are as legislators. But if that's really true, why is this administrative role an elected one? Why were we as New Orleanians allowed to do our research on potential candidates, engage in the democratic process by asking questions of potential candidates, and then go into the polls and make our selection? This role is representative of the people because the people are the ones who voted him into this office. That's the point of it. I've been in the audience since this hearing began, and I want to reflect on something that Senator Morris said. He said we're changing state law through a democratic process by majority wins. But where is the democratic process or the majority in this issue? There were no green cards submitted in support of this bill, and that should speak volumes to everyone here. You've heard back-to-back testimony from New Orleans delegates and residents that are actively saying we weren't consulted and we don't want this. And as representatives of the Louisiana people, it's your job to listen and heed our testimony. This bill is personal to Calvin, but even more, it's personal to us, the voters. By voting for this bill, you're doing so without the support of any Louisianans in this room, and that you say you represent. And if that's the case, my question to you is, what are you really representing here? Please vote against SB256 and show the people that you believe in what they stand for. Thank you.
All right.
My name is Lindsay Garcia, and my energy is much different, but I do hearken what Lydia just said. Again, my name is Lindsay Garcia, and I'm here before you as a daughter of Louisiana, mother of two, teacher of thousands, and an advocate to millions, a recent graduate of the Southern University Law Center and a current candidate for Congress, and a proud friend of Calvin Duncan. You may not know me today, but I hope by the time that I'm finished, you will remember how much of a problem I can become for each and every one of you. I prayed on what I would say in this moment. I told Calvin I would. I asked for calm and I asked for grace. But the truth is, I have sat here and watched these types of bodies, this current Louisiana legislature, repeatedly. You have ignored the voices of lawyers, judges, advocates like myself and Mr. Duncan himself, and I've watched you ignore the will of tens of thousands of voters in New Orleans. People far more patient than me, people with far more measurement than myself, and I need you to understand this. If I am the one standing here now, it is because every other reasonable voice has already been dismissed. So I will ask once and respectfully for your full attention, because I'm not here just as an individual. I am here as a reflection of what Senator Morris has created for you. You all are being seen. We all are going to see you and your actions and what you all are going to do today. We saw a man who was wrongfully convicted, who lost nearly 30 years of his life, who used the law, your law, to prove his innocence, and instead of respecting that outcome, you are enabling someone to try to eliminate the very office he was elected to hold. Do not mistake what this looks like, because it does not look like efficiency, it looks like the retaliation that it is. And whether you say that out loud or not, you know exactly how it is going to be understood, and what is understood shouldn't need to be explained, but yet here I am doing it. Now I'm going to shift, because part of this message isn't even for any of you here. It's for the people in Louisiana who are going to be watching this message. Do not be discouraged. Do not lose hope. Do not allow them to convince yourself that your voice does not matter, because the very existence of this legislation here before you proved that it does, because you spoke, and now they are trying to silence you. So I need you to fight like everything that you love is on the line, and fight like the tree of liberty is on fire, because I guarantee you it very much is. To this committee and to every member of the legislature, hear me clearly. You will do what you do here regardless. It's what I've seen time and time again. But I came to remind you all that every single seat in this body is up for re-election in 2020. Every single one. And I am coming, but I am not coming alone. I will come with the people you ignore. I will come with the voters you dismiss. I am coming with the consequences you thought would never reach you. So I came here to tell you that I am the consequence of a generation and the reckoning that you will create here today. Because what you are doing here today is bigger than one man, and it is a message that even when someone proves their innocence, even when they follow the law, even when they win at the ballot box, you will still rewrite the rules if you do not like the outcome. So understand it clearly. You're not just voting on the bill. You're defining yourself for history and posterity, and the world will be watching. And I beg of you not to make me to come here again, because next time I won't be asking politely. I will come back with the same righteous indignation that has always risen when power like this forgets who it serves. And I will use every avenue at my disposal to flip all of your seats like Jesus flipped the tables at the temple, and that is a promise, not a threat.
Mr. Chico.
I don't know how you follow that.
I love you, Chico. My bad. The moment called for it, Chico. Apologies.
You know, I had to pray about this. You know, I know Calvin personally. We were in prison together. I spent 20 years in Angola. And Calvin was always respected, trying to help other folks. And I remember when he called me and told me that he actually qualified. I didn't know whether I wanted to drink some Kool-Aid or just say, man, thank you, Lord. Because that was his dream years ago. And listen to Ed Tarpley that I met when we changed, Professor Bell, Norris Henderson, Calvin, and myself when we initially met and knew what we had to do to face the injustices of the state of Louisiana, of the non-unanimous jury. And then a while ago when the chairman said, my good friend, I need your friendship now. I'm going to see how your vote be. And they listened to Ed. Ed almost wanted to make me a Republican. But when I look at the person that's bringing this bill, I know I don't want to be a Republican. But you know, as I look in your eyes and some of these committee members, I'll be 81 this year. I've seen this damn movie before, and it ain't a pretty movie. I remember my grandfather saying, the devil will use anyone. And he also said there's more than one way to skin a Negro. And I used to wonder what that meant. So I'm looking at the skinning going on right now. And here we are in 2026. And because of the top officials, because I don't know who's doing this, whether it's the top official, whether it's the legal official, or whoever. But when I heard the other week that they would do anything to keep Calvin out of office over their dead body, I was like, wow. But we need to understand in our community, we understand what it means to fight and to be heard. Voting is not just a routine act. It's a hard-earned right shaped by history, struggle, and persistence. When a bill like Senate Bill 256 threatens to override that process, it sends a message that our participation can be disregarded, even though the ballots have been counted. This bill raises serious concerns and demands our attention to make sure that we do the right thing. And when I look at Representative Wiley there, a former sheriff, him and I have had some serious conversations about reentry and what it means to get your life right and do the right thing. And I look at Representative Dickerson. I remember you when you came to Angola years ago doing a story. And now you are seeing the results of people doing the right thing. And I know that Some people have gotten their marching orders, have been told how to vote. But today you can make history. You can make history and do the right thing. My grandfather always said there's never a wrong time to do the right thing. I messed up years ago, and I've been out of prison now 23 years, and I do what I'm supposed to do, follow the rules. But if you deny,
Wrap it up. You've run out of time.
I'm going to wrap it up. But it's very important to make sure that people understand this is wrong, this is personal, and it has no place in today's political world. Calvin is my friend, and let's let him serve his next 4 years. Thank you.
Thank you, panel, for showing up. Let's get our next three up. Santry Pope, Sarah Gonzalzo, and James Samuels. All right, y'all can take your pick who goes first, but I do need you to give your name and who you represent.
Ladies first.
Hello, my name is Sarah Gonzalo, and I'm here representing myself. I became a U.S. citizen about 2 years ago. And after my swearing ceremony, after becoming a citizen, I stepped out of the room, and the voice of the experience vote was there to greet me and register me to vote. And for some reason, I got really emotional when I registered to vote. And I thought about my grandfather who fought in the Spanish Civil War and was sent to a work camp, and my father who was persecuted during a 40-year fascist regime in Spain. And growing up, my family, who had been targeted by fascists, always told me the importance of democracy. Voting for Calvin Duncan was one of the first votes that I've ever taken as a U.S. citizen. Calvin Duncan has been a teacher to me. He taught me everything about non-unanimous juries. He also told me that impossible is nothing. And I think about how many times God has been mentioned in this room. And I think about the lessons of my grandfather, who was in a work camp fighting for a republic, fighting for democracy. I think about my father, who was persecuted so that I someday would have the right to vote. And for those who mention God, I have a proposition for you. Instead of being sure that God has a good plan for Calvin, and of course he does, maybe he's waiting for y'all to be that vehicle today. You don't have to leave it up to God. Today, you can do the right thing. I wish I had the power that y'all have today. All I have is my vote. And if you vote for this bill, you're taking that away from me too. 2 years I've been able to vote in this country, and already one of my few votes is going to be taken away from me. I have never witnessed anything so chilling in my life. And I ask that you have the courage of the convictions that led you to run for office and vote no on this bill.
Thank you.
My name is Darlene Jones. I'm a resident of Tremay in New Orleans, and I represent myself and all of the people who voted for Calvin Duncan. I am a community activist. most everyone is focusing on, and rightly so, the criminal court and clerk, because we know firsthand that that court and its records are a matter of life and death. But if you are a resident of NOLA, have you ever tried to report a violation of a city ordinance? Ever had to report a trespasser or someone trespassing? That's municipal court. Ever had a disagreement with a neighbor or someone who owes you money? That's civil court. All of these courts are already brimming, overwhelmed, shorthanded, and underfunded. By combining these courts, it's a deliberate affront to New Orleans and its residents, who would have to wait life-altering times for resolutions and information. You stated that Mr. Duncan wasn't the same as Mr. Duncan being elected wasn't the same as being elected to the legislature, that he was a paper pusher. I beg to differ. He is an elected by the people to fulfill a government position just like all of you. He was elected because there are thousands of people unduly behind bars, some on death row, and they and their families have faith in Calvin, getting and having their records easily accessible, in order, and on time. Those papers you so nonchalantly mentioned are people's lives. But that would mean the release of people unlawfully convicted. It would bring scrutiny to the records. Let's face it, it would bring an unwanted spotlight on the Office of Criminal Records. Also, the idea of these changes being cost neutral is another insult to the people. The state may not pay, but the residents of Orleans and every employee of these offices surely will. Please do not negate the vote of the people. Hear us. Hear what we're saying. Say yes to Calvin Duncan and vote no on Senate Bill 256. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Jones.